What's up, Eagles fans, and welcome into the Eagle Eye in the Sky, where today we are going to take a look at the Eagles' huge win on Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers. And we're going to start things off with really the topic that I was most interested to get some more information on when I went to the film on Monday morning. What did Jordan Mailata look like in his first career start? Not just his first career NFL start, his first start ever playing the game of football. Remember, an Australian rugby player who was drafted in the 7th round just 3 years ago, had never played the sport in any organized fashion. Well, we got a chance to see him 62 snaps on the left side, protecting Carson Wentz's blind side. Here's how he looked in his opening game in pass protection.
Let's take a look at Jordan Mailata in this game. Played 62 snaps at left tackle, his first career start. Had only played 20 snaps in regular season action coming into this game. He's only in his third year playing football. Remember, former 7th-round pick, had never played before, was an Australian rugby player, and now you see him in his first start. And look, it wasn't always pretty. You're going to see times here, just on this clip as well, where he lets defenders into his chest. He was thrown off balance a little bit sometimes, but he was never outmatched physically. He was never outmatched mentally. It was not too big for him on Sunday Night Football, getting his first start. Didn't find out until the day before. You see him here running the hoop with Ziggy Ansah, a former top 10 pick in the NFL. He showed all the physical tools that you want, especially the anchor strength and that foot quickness you're always looking for with your tackles, whether you're playing left tackle or right tackle. I thought Jordan Mailata really handled himself very well in this game. You're going to see him here. Look how fast he gets out of his stance, and then he's able to take on the bull rush from a veteran pass rusher and Kerry Hyder. Holds the pocket fairly well there. I think, look, the Eagles did some nice things to help the offensive line in this game, right? They moved the pocket, lots of play action, multiple run game. They took advantage of their athleticism in certain spots, but ultimately you're seeing a bunch of the one-on-one pass pro reps that we saw from Mailata in this game, and again, never looked outmatched, never looked like the moment was too big for him mentally or physically, and that's all you can ask for in that situation. I thought he did a really nice job overall in this game, and also, look, we haven't even gotten into the run game yet. I'll do that in a separate shot. But again, when you're looking for in pass protection, you saw a lot of those things from Jordan Mailata from a technical standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and ultimately as well, delivered one of the key blocks in this touchdown throw from Carson Wentz to Travis Fulgham. He's one-on-one with the pass rusher. That's Dion Jordan off the edge. Look at him hold the integrity of the pocket, give Carson Wentz that pocket to be able to deliver this ball to Travis Fulgham. Really nice debut from Jordan Mailata.
Again, Jordan Mailata, 6'8", 340 pounds, with those light feet, with that strong anchor. All the tools are there, and as I mentioned, he never looked outmatched physically or mentally, which is great to see. Now, what did he look like in the run game? Obviously, a guy that size, he's got that power to move people at the point of attack. And that's something we saw early and often in this game.
Let's also just look at Jordan Mailata in the run game here. And again, you're looking at a guy who's 6'8", 340 pounds. We talked about the light feet in his pass pro clip, but you just see the ability to move people in the run game as well. Watch where he makes contact and how far he's able to drive the defender into the defensive secondary. Really, you saw that consistently a couple of times here in this game where he was able to generate that movement one-on-one. This was my favorite throw. Backside, double team. Look at the job he does on contact here, displacing that backside nose tackle. Look at the job here. You see the movement there on the double and then working up to the second level and trying to block one of the best linebackers in football in Fred Warner. I thought we saw some really good things from Jordan Mailata in this game at the point of attack in the run game. We're going to take a look at one more example here. And again, just look at where he initiates contact with the defender and then just look at where they end up when the battle is over. You see that where the contact is drawn just shy of the 20-yard line, and then just see where he ends up a few yards in the secondary. I think when you look at Jordan Mailata, he did some really nice things in this game, both in the run game and in the passing game. Really good sign of things to come.
All right, so we've seen what Jordan Mailata looks like. Now let's take a look at one of the biggest drives of the game for this Eagles offense. It happened in the first quarter, and really it ended with a touchdown run by Carson Wentz, but really the first big play of that drive was a 28-yard catch and run from Carson Wentz to Miles Sanders. Let's see what went into that one.
One of the biggest plays of that touchdown drive was this completion to Miles Sanders. You see him here next to Carson Wentz in the shotgun. Some communication pre-snap there between Carson and Miles. Now, all you're going to see here is basically a busted coverage by San Francisco. Both of these linebackers are going to come. Carson Wentz is going to hit Miles Sanders in the flat. He's wide open. One of those linebackers was supposed to have Miles Sanders in coverage, but the Eagles make them pay for that mistake. They go 28 yards, get into the red zone, and they score on the very next play. You take a look at this from the end zone angle, and I kind of wonder, because one of these linebackers was supposed to pick up Miles. When you look at this pre-snap communication here between Carson and Miles, you can tell, hey, Carson's letting him know, look, there's a threat of pressure. Whatever he's telling him here, I feel like number 54, Fred Warner, or the linebacker Al-Shaair off the edge, one of those guys said, you know what? He's keeping him in to protect here. They assumed that they were kind of changing things up to keep Miles in to protect. That allowed them to basically green dog off of that, and now Carson's able to make them pay. Again, both linebackers suck up close to the line of scrimmage, and now you hit Miles Sanders over the top. They, again, go 28 yards. That helps set up the opening touchdown, Carson Wentz to Miles Sanders.
So a little bit of a busted coverage there from the 49ers, and that resulted in that long catch and run. I really do think that some of that, that pre-snap confusion from San Francisco was a result of that communication between Wentz and Sanders in the backfield. Interested to kind of get a little bit of an inside football on what that looked like down on the field. But now what that did was set up this touchdown run from Carson Wentz down in the red zone.
After the 28-yard completion to Miles Sanders, the Eagles are in the red zone, and you're going to see an outnumbered box here, a heavy box for the defense, 6 defenders against 5 blockers. So to get the numbers back in your favor, the Eagles are going to read that unblocked player. That player is going to be, that's Carson Wentz's guy, this defensive end. If he crashes in, then you're going to keep it. Jordan Mailata gets up to the second level. The defensive end crashes with the run. That leaves Carson Wentz up to the second level, one-on-one with the safety. He makes him miss. He gets into the touchdown. Textbook play in the zone read run game. Now, 2-point play, and this really set the tone for the rest of the game for the Eagles and for the 49ers. They get confirmed man coverage here, and all they're running is a little rub route with Zach Ertz to the flat. Once again, they read that unblocked defender. Zach does a nice job playing under the rub, and he runs to the flat, wide open for a touchdown. Eagles get up 8-0 in the first quarter.
And that 2-point play to Zach Ertz obviously really kind of helped set the tone for the rest of the game, right? Because not only did that give the offense some confidence early on, but it also caused San Francisco to try and chase those points later. They go for the 2-point play. It fails later in the fourth quarter, so now they're down 5. And on that final drive, instead of having to kick a field goal to tie the game, they had to score a touchdown to win the game. So Doug Peterson electing to go for 2 really paid dividends for this Eagles team late in this football game. And obviously, as we know, they came out with the W. But that all didn't end there in the first half. They would need some plays in the second half of this game, and they got it from some guys that maybe a lot of fans, unless you were really paying close attention to this roster, you were necessarily familiar with. And it started on a key 4th down conversion. Carson Wentz to the rookie 5th-round pick, John Hightower.
Let's go to a critical play on this drive, and that's a 4th and 4. Carson Wentz to John Hightower. The Eagles in an empty set. They have an idea it's going to be man coverage, and you've got a man beater at the top of the screen, John Hightower, on what is essentially a pick play. It's man-to-man coverage, but because those receivers are spaced out well, they don't have any kind of pass off here, San Francisco, so they don't have any kind of way to defeat this pick play. And you see that John Hightower is able to win inside. Nice ball from Wentz. Nice catch from Hightower through contact against Jason Verrett. He comes up with the first down. Give some love to the offensive line as well. Obviously holding up. Quick game throw. The ball's out pretty quick, but they hold up against the pressure. You got a blitzer coming from the second level, but the Eagles able to convert on 4th down. Big play for this offense.
So a really well-executed 4th down conversion on the little rub route. Huge play. And a few plays later, the Eagles were able to get into the end zone. A 42-yard catch. Travis Fulgham, beautiful ball from Carson Wentz. Let's take a look at that play.
Let's take a look at the touchdown from Carson Wentz to Travis Fulgham. Late in this game, 11 personnel. You see Fulgham down at the bottom of the screen is the X receiver. He's going to be working down the field on a vertical route. Nothing special in the release. Does a nice job fighting through contact, but look at the ball placement and the touch from Carson Wentz. Probably the best throw of his season so far. Drops this right into the breadbasket of Travis Fulgham. He comes through. Nice balance along the sideline as he leaps into the end zone for the touchdown. Outstanding job by both Wentz and Fulgham on this play. But how about some love for the offensive line? In pass protection, look at this soft pocket that Carson Wentz has. No one breathing on him from the San Francisco defensive line. He's able to step into this throw and, again, just drop it right into a bucket. Puts this on the money. Eagles take the lead for good. They come away with a victory.
As I mentioned, just outstanding protection there by the offensive line, which you just love to see. Just a pristine pocket there for Carson Wentz to deliver this football. And what most impressed me about that drive as well was just the ability to overcome adversity. They had some negative plays early in that drive that could have set them back. You had the fumbled snap by Jalen Hurts. You had the long tackle for loss on the end around to Adrian Killins that knocked them out of field goal range. Instead of kind of cradling down and saying, oh, we're just going to play for the field goal, they stayed aggressive, took the deep shot, and it paid off. Big play in the game to give the Eagles the lead for good. So that's what we saw on offense. Let's go over to the defensive side. If I had to pick one player that really stood out to me in this game with the way that he played, I would pick the former first-round pick, Derek Barnett. The way that he was able to show up in a number of ways, pass game, run game, constant effort, really impressed me. Let's take a look at some of the plays that really stood out.
One guy who really stood out to me in this game was defensive end Derek Barnett. Really productive night. And as you see here on this sack against Trent Williams, one of the best tackles in the NFL. He's able to go speed to power here, win on the inside shoulder of Williams, push him back, and get the sack of Nick Mullins. Really nice play there from Derek Barnett. Again, Trent Williams has been outstanding for San Francisco through the first 3 weeks of the season. Here you're going to see Barnett in the run game where he's going to set a really strong edge. Once again, matched up on Trent Williams on an outside run. You're going to see that he just forces the ball carrier to bounce this, and that allows Nate Gary to get home for a TFL. Barnett joining the party in there as well. Good team run defense there by Barnett. This time you see him here on the left side. All he's going to do is just drop back. A little bit of a zone pressure from the Eagles. He's going to drop back against this RPO right into the passing lane. So the quarterback's got to hold on to the football. It's meant to come out fast. The defensive line gets home. You see Jannard Avery and Hargrave get there for the sack.
Another guy that continues to really stand out is the defensive end Josh Sweat, and he is a guy that has consistently showed up. He's had a sack in 3 of 4 games so far this year, and he has been a starter in place of Derek Barnett while Derek Barnett has come back from injury, and Sweat continues to show up. Again, run game, pass game, had a big sack in this matchup as well. Let's take a look at that play.
Let's take a look at this sack here from Josh Sweat, his third in 4 games. And you're going to see him come off, once again, the right side, working against Trent Williams. It's going to be a play-action fake. You're going to see him here defend the run. Watch Josh Sweat here lock out. Good hat placement, good hand placement. Once he sees that it's a pass, he now has to transition into a pass rush, or the quarterback drifts back into the pocket. And you see Sweat is able to turn the corner there, get home. Good coverage on the back end, force the quarterback to hold on to that football a little bit longer than he probably would have liked. Sweat gets home for the sack.
So you get sacks from Derek Barnett. You see the one from Josh Sweat there. But they also got consistent pressure, this Eagles defensive line, against whoever was at quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And after some big plays that the defense was able to make, they made a change. Nick Mullins goes out. C.J. Beathard comes in. Last 2 drives, he leaves them on a touchdown drive. And then on the very last drive, they're trying to move the football, and they are able to get into Eagles territory. It gets a little bit hairy there late in this game, but the pressure comes through again. It didn't come through in sacks, but pressures that impacted the quarterback. Let's take a look at 2 key plays.
Let's take a look at a couple of plays on the final drive. 2nd and 10 here, third to last play of the game. And watch Jannard Avery coming off the left side. He's going to go speed to power here against the right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. And he's going to plow right through the former top 15 pick. He's able to attack that outside shoulder, get home for a quick hit on C.J. Beathard, force an incompletion out of bounds. So that brings up 3rd and 10. On this play, you're going to see another 4-man rush. This time, Brandon Graham. He's going to win with an outside move, a double hand swipe. Again, winning high side against Mike McGlinchey. He turns the corner, attacks the throwing arm of the quarterback. Again, forces an incompletion. That brings up 4th and 10. Eagles win on the very next play.
So you get the pressures there on 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. That results in the Hail Mary. Obviously, that falls incomplete. The Eagles win this game. And you love to see that kind of pressure along the defensive line against the quarterback. But I'll tell you what, against a team like San Francisco, it's just like with LA, right? With the LA Rams. We talked about that a few weeks ago, where you're not always going to be able to get the sacks. It was impressive that they were able to do so in this matchup. But you know that they're going to throw a lot at you in terms of the screen game and the perimeter plays. They're trying to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly. So that can be frustrating for a defensive line. Hey, if we can't get the sack, what else do you want us to do? Well, these guys are coached that if you can't get home, if that ball gets out, you need to stick your foot in the ground and you need to get to the perimeter and chase that play down. I loved the temperament this defensive line played with on Sunday night. It wasn't always, oh, look at this TFL down in the backfield. They might have been a play 8, 10, 12 yards down the field, but you saw defensive linemen consistently being one of the first people at the point of contact. That's something we saw in a few plays here on this clip.
One of the hallmarks of this Eagles defensive line has been their ability in pursuit. Watch Derek Barnett here look to make this play backside. He's hitting this point of contact at full speed, chasing this play down. When you play the San Francisco 49ers, you know you're going to have quick screens, quick throws. As a defensive lineman, you can't get home to get the sack or impact the quarterback. You got to take off. You see Malik Jackson there on that play. You see him here again. Look at him retrace and chase this screen play to the perimeter. These plays go for chunks of yards, but just watch the way that the defensive line is constantly chasing the football. Here's the touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. Watch Fletcher Cox and how he does just chasing this play outside the numbers. And look at Derek Barnett. He's coming from the backside, nearly makes this play at the goal line. That's what you're looking for on the defensive line, that temperament.
You just love seeing that temperament from the defensive line, and I think it speaks to that culture that the veterans like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Vinnie Curry, they have consistently played with that kind of energy throughout the course of their careers in Philadelphia. And you have the young guys and Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett, newcomers like Malik Jackson and Javon Hargrave. They follow suit off the example that those older guys have set over the course of the last few years. But here's why that's important, because this isn't just like, oh, football guys speak, oh, you see the intensity, you love the competitiveness, you love the toughness and the motor. That stuff is important, no question. But a lot of people have asked the question, when were the turnovers going to come with this Eagles defense? Through the first 3 games, they hadn't generated any on defense. When were they going to come? Where are the interceptions? Where are the fumbles? When are they going to create some big plays for this Eagles offense? Well, obviously on Sunday night, we got to see a handful of those turnovers. And really, to me, playing that hard all the time helps put you in position to create those turnovers. You always need a little bit of luck in football to get some of these turnovers. You can't always predict when the quarterback's going to throw it right at your chest. You can't always predict, when a running back is going to put the ball on the turf. But if you're always playing hard, you're playing to your identity, you're going to put yourself in position, not just to put pressure on the opponent, but just to be around the football at all times. And I thought that seeing that defensive front play that way, really, it was, I don't want to say it was good karma, but it was good karma getting the turnovers going the other way. And one of the biggest in this game was the strip sack by cre'von LeBlanc on a nickel blitz coming off the right side. Let's take a look at that play.
Let's take a look at one of the pivotal plays in this game, the sack fumble by cre'von LeBlanc coming on a nickel pressure, where they're also going to send Nate Gary right up the middle. And this ends up being a 3 under, 3 deep zone blitz for this Eagles defense. So you got the zone pressure, LeBlanc gets home, and he's able to get the ball on the ground. Malik Jackson able to recover it. Huge play for the Eagles defense. It gets the Eagles offense the ball back. But let's take a look at this from the end zone angle as well, and you can see what the Eagles do. They drop Derek Barnett, who's lined up at right defensive end. He drops out as an underneath defender. There's LeBlanc on the left side. The one other big player to watch is Brandon Graham. He works through contact on that little bit of a chip block and gets upfield. That keeps the tackle there. You see Nate Gary, he's working in the A-gap. That's going to attract the running back. Now you've got a one-on-one matchup. Daniel Brunskill, the right guard, against LeBlanc. You probably like that if you're the 49ers, but you get LeBlanc. He's able to dip the corner, get home, get the ball on the ground. Eagles get a big, big turnover in the second half.
So that huge turnover helped set up the touchdown pass to Travis Fulgham that we saw earlier. On the very next defensive play, after the touchdown to Fulgham, San Francisco takes the field, and we see this pick 6. Nick Mullins throwing it to Alex Singleton, who takes it to the house. Let's take a look at that play.
Let's take a look at the pick 6 here by Alex Singleton. And this, honestly, it's not that crazy. It's not a huge breakdown here. You're going to get Alex Singleton here underneath. It's quarters coverage. So you've got 4 deep. You've got 3 underneath. There's Alex Singleton at the top. He's a curl flat defender, and he's going to get underneath this deep hitch route. It's 8-man max protection here from San Francisco against the Eagles' defensive front. Singleton steps in front of this pass, takes it to the house. Not a ton to break down there, but when you play with that fanatical effort we saw from the defensive front in an earlier shot that I posted, to me, in my opinion, football karma comes back your way. And there's been so much discussion about turnovers and when are the Eagles going to start getting some takeaways on defense. When you play to that level of competitiveness and urgency on the defensive side of the ball, not only are you always around the football, but you find ways to be able to create some big plays. The Eagles were able to do that Sunday night.
So we've seen the cre'von LeBlanc sack fumble. We've seen the pick six there by Alex Singleton. But let's go to the turnover that started it all. And that was back in the first half. San Francisco driving into Eagles territory. Rodney McLeod coming up with a critical interception to keep points off the board. Let's see how that play came to be.
Let's take a look at the first defensive turnover for the Eagles in the 2020 season. An interception by free safety Rodney McLeod. You see him there in the post. This is going to be off play action. You've got a counter run fake to the left, but it's actually going to be a play action boot to the right. There's Trent Taylor, the slot receiver. He's going to be working across the field. But watch the job that Duke Riley does of getting over top of this crosser and forcing Trent Taylor to change his angle on the route. So he's not going to the target point there of this pass. Rodney McLeod able to get under it, and he comes up with the easy interception in the red zone. Huge play for this Eagles defense. Give the assist to Duke Riley in coverage, but also give the assist to Jannard Avery, the defensive end here, who's able to defeat the block from the right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. Get into the backfield after being a run player initially. You see Duke Riley once again there changing the route of the receiver. Rodney McLeod able to get under this pass. First big turnover for the Eagles comes in the red zone. Critical play here late in the first half.
Huge play there by Rodney McLeod, who stood out in a number of ways as well. I mentioned earlier that Derek Barnett may have been the guy who most stood out to me. If I had to pick a second player, it would have been Rodney McLeod, who showed up from a physical standpoint numerous times in this football game. I'll show you a couple examples right here.
The interception wasn't the only play Rodney McLeod made in this game. He flashed in a number of ways. You see him here on the two-point conversion in the fourth quarter, matched up man-to-man on tight end George Kittle. He caught all 15 targets in standard downs. But here on this two-point play, Rodney McLeod able to win one-on-one in man coverage, undercutting the route, making it a more difficult throw. Ball hits the ground incomplete. The only incomplete pass in Kittle's direction all night, and McLeod did a great job on that play. But where he also stood out was downhill as a tackler. You see him here in the screen game, how quickly he's able to close ground, running the alley, defeat the block at the second level, get the ball carrier down one-on-one. He did this a number of times in this game against the 49ers. Again, you see him here bottom left of your screen. You're going to see him here on this little toss play to the right. He's able to run the alley one-on-one. This is textbook safety play for Rodney McLeod. He's able to come down, make this stop with force downhill, and then we'll see one more example. Once again, this play is going to go to the same side of the field, outside zone stretch. He keys and diagnoses this play, finds his angle of insertion, and is able to get downhill and really just a form tackle. No ground given up there by Rodney McLeod. Really strong afternoon.
So overall, just a really impressive team win for this Philadelphia Eagles football team. Going out to the West Coast, 0-2-1. You're in a tough spot. The rest of the NFC East loses on Sunday afternoon. You come up with the big win on Sunday night. You take over sole possession of first place. You love to be able to see the resiliency of this team. Now you got to build on it, right? You got to keep trying to see if you can stack some wins here. Try and get one over a tough opponent coming off a week of rest with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are going to cover this matchup from wall to wall here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade, with myself, Greg Cosell, Ben Fennell. Make sure you go subscribe wherever podcasts can be found. If you listen to this week's episode with Greg and myself, you've got the footage now. I just showed you all the key plays that we're going to be talking about with Greg. So you can kind of play this on one screen, and then you can go and listen to the podcast as well. So make sure you go check that out again, wherever podcasts can be found. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky. We'll see you next week here, and until then, fly Eagles fly.